Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
Here we go. Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple dudes hanging out each week, talking about what's going on in the NFL. Tonight is episode 60. We're going to go through our typical agenda, kicking things off with Name That Stadium. Then we're going to cover the news from this past week. After that, we'll get into our main part of the show. Tonight, it's going to be the fourth of a four-part series where we're looking at the 2021 AFC and NFC North Outlook. And then last but not least, we'll close things off with question of the week. So with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. It's going good. You know, just getting a little bit of a late start here tonight, but better late than never, man.
True.
Okay, so let's kick it over to Name That Stadium. For people who are watching, this is a part of the show where, as you can see, James is out there traveling the country. He's got a new stadium in his background every week. And if you think you know what stadium that is, we're asking that you hit us up in our comments section. The first person to get it right, they'll get a special shout out next week's show. And so, James, why don't you tell us where you were at last week, man?
Last week I was in Houston and basically had to do with the fact that when I went through Houston's schedule and the talent on that team, I had them 0-17. So why not go bold and just go with it and sit there, and that's the only time I'll be talking about them all year.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, there's some significance there. I got you. And I see what you're doing for tonight, but I won't spoil anything. You can tell people about that next week. Okay,
Definitely.
so moving on. Let's do our recap of the past week, talking about some of the bigger news stories over the last 7 or so days. I think the big thing that's out there, at least the big thing in my mind, is Mac Jones being named the starter for the New England Patriots. He beat out Cam Newton, and to solidify the team's stance, they went as far as to release Cam Newton, making sure everybody knows Mac Jones is now the guy in New England. Pretty solid move. I like it. I think that, with what Josh McDaniels did for all those years with Tom Brady, this guy fits that kind of a mold. It was wildly successful. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady. I'm just saying that I think it's going to bode well for the team in a better, more well-fitting way than Cam Newton's run all the time and limited passing stuff. But we'll talk more about Cam Newton later, James, as we get to our question of the week. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Thoughts on
So
Mac Jones, anyhow?
so it makes sense. Well, just cutting him because of Mac Jones, and he's going to be a completely different style quarterback than Cam Newton. So you have a backup if something happens, can come in and run the same offense. Couple things I heard this week about it. Like it was clear to me that Mac Jones was becoming the starter after last week's preseason game when Belichick was asked if he had decided to start her or something, and he made a comment like, oh, we have to make decisions at a lot of positions. Didn't say Cam was the starter, and going into the preseason, it was Cam was the starter, Cam was the starter, Cam's our starter.
It
But
started
I
to
told
change, yeah.
but I told you in the draft that Mac Jones, whatever team, or after the draft or going the week before the draft, one of the two, Mac Jones, whatever team he went to, he was going to slide in as the starter week one. It's just he's that talented. But the funny thing I heard this week was, and I forget who said it, but if you put Mac Jones' combine picture next to Tom Brady's combine picture,
Oh
and the
boy.
person said Bill Belichick definitely has a type
Oh, oh
because
no.
apparently they look similar enough to where you could wait, is that Cam, or is that Mac,
Yeah, yeah. Or is that
is
Tom?
that
Yeah.
Tom?
Oh,
And
geez.
but I thought that was funny. But I'm not surprised. I thought, like I told you, I thought San Francisco was going to draft him, and I thought if they
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
if they drafted him, that made them an instant Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like New England doing this with him. I'm not sure that he has quite the arm strength that Brady does, but I think he can do a lot of what Brady did in that Josh McDaniels offense. And,
Yeah,
I would still temper my expectations a little bit for this year because he's a rookie. But I think that this is like a really good move for this team long term.
yeah, it definitely is. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him in New England up there. I mean, when I predicted their season, I assumed he was going to be the starter, not Cam.
Nice, nice. Okay, so sticking on the quarterback news, this is something came up last week. San Francisco rotated quarterbacks during the game with Jimmy G and Trey Lance, and there's all sorts of buzz now about this dual quarterback system and quarterback U, and I mean, everybody's going crazy about it. I don't think he's the first coach in the world to do this, but some people are going crazy saying that this is like some cutting edge, new innovative thing, and he's really going to mess teams up every week. And, I don't know how it all worked out. I really don't. But, in general, my opinion, I kind of like the idea because you're giving Trey Lance a chance to get out on the field, but you're not like totally dropping him in the deep end. You're saying, hey, Jimmy G is probably our main guy, at least to start the year, but we're going to sprinkle you in here and there. And that way you're getting some game action. And then when we're ready, we can sort of turn that dial and you can get more and more and more until you're ready. And then Jimmy G's not getting any. And so I like the concept. Let's just see how it does. In reality, it may not be as practical.
Yeah. Well, for those people that are watching this episode or listening to this episode, we should go back at last week because I was talking about this happening last Friday, and then all of a sudden after the preseason game, it became this big buzz. But what I'm hearing is going to happen on it is it's going to be more than you think. Like it'll be like say the first series, like within that first drive, there will be some series or some downs with Trey Lance at quarterback, some downs with Jimmy G at quarterback, and like even like within like a 4 down set alternating quarterback. Like it's going to be it's further than I think any coach has gone with rotating their quarterback. What they're
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, because if they're literally rotating mid drive, that's not something that's happened often for
Yeah.
sure. Um, okay, it'll be exciting to see. It'll definitely be. It's going to shake things up a little bit. It's not something that happens often, at least. Okay, more quarterback news. Dak Prescott update. Looks like he's going to be ready for week one. And by the way, they don't want Cam Newton. Mike McCarthy came out about that, but we'll talk more about the Cam stuff later. With Dak, man, so I've been watching Hard Knocks, and I've just been following what I normally follow in the league every week, and the shoulder thing, it makes me a little bit nervous, man, with like how quickly it escalated, and they had to basically stop him from throwing. And I get it, they're saying he's going to be ready for week one. I hope it's true. That's all I'm saying. I hope this isn't one of these things where he comes in and like within a couple weeks, something's just not right and his arm's not there. And I don't know. I'm hoping he comes back because what he did last year early on in the season, I want to see him like replicate that and like really just like light some shit up this year.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's going to be ready for week one. Like if you go back three episodes or 4 episodes, whatever we did the week before the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame game, I was talking about what I was reading, what I was hearing at that time was the only reason Dak wasn't playing was because it was preseason. If it was week one of the season, he would have been playing then.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, what was it, 2 years ago with Roethlisberger, where he just had that weird thing where he was throwing and like something just got messed up, and next thing you know it, he needed surgery and he was done for the year. It's like
Yeah.
just the way the whole Dak thing kind of came out of nowhere, where it wasn't like he got like laid out and had a big problem or anything. It was just like something about just throwing all of a sudden didn't feel right, and that makes me nervous. It's like, ooh, that's like there could be something else going on that is ready to you know pop at any time. I don't know.
Yeah, like from what I'm hearing, the biggest problem with it was he ramped it up too quickly after
Okay.
not throwing for so long because what he broke his ankle or his leg or
Yeah.
whatever he did last year, and he hadn't been
Yeah, that
throwing,
ankle.
and he got out there and he ramped it up way too quickly and was doing too much, and that's why they were protecting him from himself because
Yeah.
he would go out there and just keep throwing and try to rehab it like instantly as opposed to slowly progress it back to health.
Yeah, so he was pushing it too hard. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. Okay, next up I got cornerback, not quarter, cornerback. Akello Witherspoon traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh. Um, this one I wanted to mention it because Pittsburgh lost a couple of their top cornerbacks in the offseason. And so, this could just be they're shoring up the position, not a big deal. But I think it's something to keep an eye on because, you talked about Bud Dupree leaving and how the defense kind of like took a step down without him last year when he got hurt. Um, in I mean, this is a team that, Tomlin like always has these guys super disciplined and they get their shit together. It's just kind of like this late in the game to see a move like this, it just kind of raises an eyebrow. Like, is there something going on in Pittsburgh? Like, like let's see what happens here, man.
You know, I hadn't seen that till just like 5 seconds ago, maybe not 5 seconds ago, but real recently, like right before we started, I seen it. I hadn't gotten much into it, um, but it's probably just trying to shore up that defense a little bit and get some depth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a blockbuster trade or anything. It's just the timing of it has me thinking. Are they unhappy with their starters? Because they did lose a couple starters, and so maybe they're like, "Shit, man, these guys didn't get where we wanted them. We better bring in somebody else, and we can shuffle the deck differently if we need to, or who knows? Who knows?" But I mean,
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, they're great at personnel, so I'm sure it's all good.
and if it was that what you thought with their starters or they're not happy with their starters, I think they would have gone out and gotten somebody better. I mean, and plus, I mean, they it's only a fifth round pick they gave up for him, so
Yeah,
that's definitely a depth play.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so moving back to the offensive side of the ball, a couple running back moves. The Raiders added Peyton Barber, dropped from the Washington football team. He goes in there behind Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. Uh, you know, he's kind of like a grinder, man. So we'll see if they can, get him mixed in somewhere on the goal line or something like that. And then the Falcons, they have added running back Wayne Gallman, released Quadre Allison, which I was kind of surprised about. I liked what I saw from him last year in his limited time on the field, but I also understand with their new head coach, they probably wanted a Gallman kind of guy, maybe like a little bit more of a powerful runner than like a shiftier back, and that could have something to do with the move there. Um, but I mean, Mike Davis is the guy in Atlanta. This is just backup stuff here we're talking.
Yeah, I didn't go much into it. It like you said, it's backup stuff. I mean, hasn't really had much of a career, and so it's nothing to write home about.
Okay, well then shame on me for bringing it up, James. Um, all right, a little bit of sad news. Three-time Super Bowl winner with the Patriots. Wide receiver David Patton passed away. Motorcycle accident, from what I read.
Mhm.
I don't know a whole lot other than that. I know he was in his 40s, and just I mean, hey, he was part of that first run with the Patriots dynasty, and never a good thing to see a guy go young like this. And so, rest in peace. It's been a little while since we've had, kind of like a bigger name like this pop up on the radar, but it seems like there've been a lot of them this year. It seems like there've been a lot of them.
Yeah, and also like with Patton, he was the first. He caught the first Super Bowl touchdown pass from Tom Brady.
Okay.
Um, apparently, he crossed the median while he was riding his motorcycle and caught and hit another car or two other cars. I mean it's still under investigation. I had heard about it this morning, and I mean it's sad, but to me the way it's kind of described, he may have been drunk.
Uh, I mean, I'll tell you this. This is on a tangent here, but the whole motorcycle thing, man, just scares the crap out of me. In my younger days, I rode some dirt bikes a little bit here and there, and I tell you what, man, I wrecked it a couple times on dirt bikes, and like almost like felt like not even getting up. It hurt so bad, and I could only imagine what it would be like on a street bike like that. And I mean, man, it's scary stuff.
Yeah, I I don't know. I mean out here where I am, they have some ridiculous laws. Like a motorcycle can do whatever the fuck they want almost on the road.
Oh,
Uh,
I remember coming out there and they would just like zip between the lanes. Like, oh,
yeah,
hey, you can just do that? Well, what if I change lanes as you're zipping between the lanes, man? Game
yeah, and if
over for you.
yeah, and if you hit them, you'd be at fault.
Yeah, it just, man. I've seen it happen. Like, not somebody get hit, thankfully, but like these guys just zipping right between the lanes. It's like, whoa, you're just playing with fire, man.
Uh-huh.
Scary shit. Okay, moving on. This one I wanted to bring up. I know we talked about tight end Jacob Hollister earlier in the year when he signed with Buffalo. Unfortunately, they released him, but luckily, looks like he's going to sign with the Jags, and I think that's a good spot for him. I was excited to see him in Buffalo, but I do know that they really like Dawson Knox, and from what I heard, they were very similar in playing style, and it sounded like maybe they wanted more of a complementary tight end than sort of like a carbon copy. But Jacksonville, I mean, hey, they tried the Tim Tebow experiment, that didn't work. I think Jacob Hollister, he's got a chance of actually getting on the field in Jacksonville, and so I like that signing.
So Jacksonville, like Jacob Hollister, I didn't really see it. I don't know how to feel about it this late in the game, signing a tight end. Yeah, it's great. He's saying league. The one thing I applaud is Urban Meyer and his honesty of being asked whether or not vaccination status played a role in the
Oh
players that were
man,
cut.
yeah,
And I first of all, it's stupid for a coach to be that honest, but I love the fact that he was that honest about it because you're damn right it plays a role because you're getting down to like the end of the roster and one of these players like a special teams player and then he gets COVID if he's a close contact he's not vaccinated he has to sit out a minimum of 5 days. That means he's going to miss at least a game. And if he's vaccinated, you can have a negative test a day later and be fine. So I understand how it played a role, and I like the honesty, but coming out and actually saying it is a little stupid.
yeah, yeah. I heard a lot about that, and yeah, same thing. It just seems like it's like, if you're going to let that be a part of the decision making process, a lot of people have kind of said, you know, keep that in the background. Don't let it be like public because. But here's the thing, I I've actually heard about this because uh, there are a lot of people saying, okay, now the NFLPA is going to, file their grievance and go after him. But a lot of people have also come back and said, but yeah, can they really do that? Because the NFLPA has also like vocally been pushing players to get vaccinated and trying to tell them that the safest way that you can stay protected and keep yourself on the field and keep your paycheck is to go and get vaccinated. And so it's like, what are they going to be mad about? That he wants these guys to be safe and he doesn't want to have people who aren't safe affecting people that are trying to be safe. I don't know. It gets into be one of those weird kind of cycles of like, well, what are you really mad about? You just want to be mad to be mad? Okay.
Yeah. Well, part of that is, hold on a second.
Okay.
The wife's calling me.
Oh, yeah, you got to take that, bud.
Hey, what's up? What? No, it's I it's ordered to our address. All right, no, the order is to our house, and that's the address on DoorDash.
Uh,
All right, I gotta go.
oh, hey, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so here, can we explain the situation for a second, the urgency of the call?
Yeah, so the wife is basically about to pop pregnant, and it
So, yeah,
was
you got to
actually,
answer that call, man. You got to answer
yeah,
that call.
exactly.
But it sounds like that was a dinner call.
It was a dinner call.
Hey, it's okay. It's all good. Yeah, better to be safe than sorry because you never know if it's baby time. You got to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I ordered the dinner, ordered my dinner, and I ordered it clearly to my address. And the wife said that the DoorDash person asked about CMH hospital order, and I was like, what? No, it's clearly ordered to my address. What the fuck's your problem?
Yeah, there's some kind of an error. Okay, so let's get back on track here. We were talking about vaccines and Urban Meyer, and were we good on that?
All I was going to say was basically for the union to file and win a grievance on it, they would have to prove that somebody was cut because they weren't vaccinated, and that was the sole reason behind it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's out there. Teams got to look at. I do like the Bucks coming out saying that they're 100% vaccinated. You
Yeah, the
know,
Bucks did come out and say it, and so they're the second team um, to be 100% vaccinated, but which is great.
yeah, it's hey, not only are we bringing back all of our starters, we're 100% vaccinated.
Yeah,
Like
and
we're not we're not
that's
going to slip up and miss a game. Yeah.
that's all Tom Brady is like. We got to do what we got to
Oh
fucking
yeah.
do.
Oh yeah. I'm sure Brady is all over. He's so intense, man. He's so intense. And hey, it's paid off. It's paid dividends.
Yeah.
Okay, so next piece I got just real quick. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed linebacker KJ Wright. It's about freaking time somebody picked this guy up. I don't even remember
Yeah.
where he
Shit.
finished on the NFL Top 100. I want to say it was like in the 50s or something. But the guy is good, and I get it. Maybe he's in decline or whatever. But you would think that a team would be willing to roll the dice on a veteran of his caliber. I'm just surprised it took all the way up until now. Um, and I like that the Raiders did it. They're in win now mode. I heard Mayock was just in the news talking about, they got to make the playoffs this year. Yeah, no shit. You guys can't be in those positions forever and not get results. And so This is another one of those veteran signings where they're saying the way they've been drafted hasn't paid off, and they're kind of admitting it. And so now they're going out and they're getting veterans to come in and start and hopefully get some results. And so I like the signing, man. I'm just glad he latched on somewhere. Okay, and then the next piece I had, this is the last one I got, is defensive tackle Jarrell Casey announced his retirement. Dude had a solid 10-year career. Seems like this is, and I'm not saying it's just him. I think that a lot of times it's this position in general. Defensive tackles, kind of like offensive linemen, they don't get a whole lot of credit for the work that they do. But this guy had a really solid 10-year career, mostly in Tennessee. Made 5 Pro Bowls, and good for him, man. Made it a decade. That's solid.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Any news from your end that we missed?
No, that was it. Well, Crowder has COVID apparently, but nothing really to write home about it other than that.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Let's move on then. So let's hit the main event. Tonight's AFC NFC North Outlook for the 2021 season. Yeah, James, why don't we start with the AFC North, and why don't you go first, man? Tell me what you're thinking.
All right, so I have two teams tied for first place in the AFC North. It's Baltimore and Cleveland. I have them both at 11-6. I think Baltimore takes it on the tiebreaker, but I easily see Cleveland. Both teams are Cleveland is vastly improved over a couple years ago, and they're bringing back everything. I'm concerned with Cleveland about the OBJ situation, and because like when OBJ is there, Baker kind of is pretty shitty. But I mean that defense is probably the second, third best defense in the league, which can make up for a lot of the missteps on offense. Baltimore, I kind of have them sliding back a little bit and keep sliding them back, and it's a lot of it has to do with, we talked about it before when we were talking about my potential keepers for fantasy this year. It's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is very streaky.
Yeah.
So he's very streaky, and God fucking damn it. Sorry.
Hey, man. It's all good. It's all good.
So
Uh,
he's Jackson's very streaky. I don't think they have a top flight receiver on this roster, and the J.K. Dobbins injury kind of concerns me a little bit with them. So I could easily see them even taking a further step back. At third place in this division, I have Cincinnati, and people think I'm crazy on that. People are going to say I'm crazy on this. I have Cincinnati at 7-10 in third place in the division.
okay.
Yes, I understand with Pittsburgh that Mike Tomlin's never been sub 500, never been sub 500. But I like what I see in Cincinnati. I like the prospects of Burrow coming back from his injury. If they can protect him a little bit, I think Cincinnati is on the rise. Pittsburgh, the defense is worse. Like you talked about, like we talked about with the trade for whatever his name was. Who cares?
Kello Witherspoon. Yeah.
Yeah, Witherspoon. I was like, Winslow, that's not it. Anyways, with that trade, they're looking for depth, but this defense is not the defense of old. They have 4 new starters on the offensive line. They have, instead of going out and getting an offensive lineman that they could have, they drafted Najee Harris, and who probably won't live up to his billing because of the fact that he doesn't have anyone blocking for him. Ben Roethlisberger is a statue, and he's going to have somebody in his face like every play, like 2 seconds, somebody's going to be there ready to hit him. He'll be lucky to make it through the season at the way he's going to be hit this year. And I have Pittsburgh ending the season at 3-14.
Wow, dude, you are like just hating them. Okay. So here's what I got, and we're out of sequence on this one. And hey, I mean they're not all going to be in alignment. I got Baltimore probably high. I'll admit it. I got them at 14-3, winning the division. I think that that's their ceiling. I'll say that. I think that's probably the better way to put it. We talking about some of these teams and these games. It's like, you could see there being a couple off, and like you mentioned, I could see them losing a few more, maybe 12 wins instead of 14. But I put him here. I liked it when I went through the schedule. I said, yeah, I can see him doing this. I can see him doing that. And so I stuck with it. I got Pittsburgh in second place at 13-4. I hear all your concerns, man. I think Roethlisberger still has one good year in him with his arm. I know that the line was an issue last year. He did get rid of the ball awfully quick last year. And I think as the season went on, I think that was part of their struggle is that defenses could adjust and slow them down because they knew that. But I think that, if Najee Harris is just a little bit effective, it can really transform things where now he can like have a little bit more time, drop a deep ball here and there, and maybe keep some more balance on offense. And just aside from that, looking at the schedule, I mean, there's just games where I think that they're winning. I mean, they got Detroit, they got Cincinnati, which I'm not high on Cincinnati. I think they beat the Raiders. I think they beat the Broncos. Like they're just things like that I think that this is just the way I saw it going. Cleveland, I got them in third at 12-5. And I mean, I like Cleveland, and I think that this division in general is looking really good this year. And I wanted Cleveland to be higher, and I hope in reality they are because I think that they've got so much going for them. I love the dual running back thing. I love that they extended Chubb. I think Baker Mayfield took a huge step last year with Stefanski calling the offense, doing his deal as the head coach. And then on defense, Myles Garrett, he's in that defensive player of the year conversation again. I don't really give a crap about Jadeveon Clowney, but I think he'll help. I do like that they went and got John Johnson in that secondary. I think they got a lot going for them. I hope they outperform and win the division. But right now I got them in third. And then I've got Cincinnati at 3-14. So you and I for sure had Pittsburgh and Cincy flipped here. Here's my thing with Cincinnati. I was really high on them up until a couple weeks ago, and I just been hearing nothing but concern about Joe Burrow. He's got happy feet. He looks nervous. He doesn't have that composure, and that scares the crap out of me a little bit because they didn't really do shit to protect him better than they did last year. I get it. They brought in Riley Reef. That helps. And, they had the one, whatever rookie or younger guy that got hurt last year. They're expecting him to come back. Maybe that makes a significant difference. I hope it does. Jamar Chase, his drops, that's not going to help the situation any. And I think that that'll come around. I think I'm not worried about that. But I just think, man, Burrow, he's got to show where he was last year with that composure and pick up where he left off with that. And then I would like totally change my rankings for this division. But until I see that, I'm worried that this could be a rough situation, man. I mean, I've heard people say that it just doesn't look good. And that, a guy taking that kind of an injury, I could see why he'd be nervous back there. I totally get it. So,
No, I get it. I see it going well, and once he gets that confidence and he gets hit a couple times, and he realizes he's fine, I think he'll get rid of that issue. But I completely understand what you're saying.
And that's all I need to see is him take some hits and then show some of that moxie of, yeah, you know what, I'm okay, I got this, because he definitely has the weapons, man. I love his wide receivers. They still got Mixon in the backfield. I mean, it's I think on defense it's an uphill battle for them, but they did churn the roster pretty well on defense, and so I think it all comes down to Burrow and, can he get back to where he needs to be? Because once he gets back to where he needs to be, he'll take the next step forward. He showed a ton of potential last year. Okay, let's flip it over to the NFC North, man. I know this is where some things usually get sensitive because we're going to be talking about the Lions, but I'll let you kick it off. Tell me what you think about the NFC North, man.
All right. So since Aaron Rodgers is
Locked
there
in.
in Green Bay, I have Green Bay winning this division at 13-4.
Okay.
I don't see Green Bay losing a game before week 9 when they play
Okay.
Kansas City at Kansas City. And then like they'll slip up towards in like week 17 or something. Like I mean they pretty much are gonna beat the shit out of a lot of these teams on their schedule and go to 13-4. And I have them as the 4 seed, I think. No, as the 3. As the 3 seed behind the Rams and Tampa Bay. And I forgot to mention that I have Cleveland losing Cleveland and Baltimore as Cleveland beating Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs, and Cleveland actually losing in the AFC Championship game this year to Buffalo.
Okay.
On that, and I with Green Bay, I mean it's Aaron Rodgers' team. I don't like the fact that Bakhtiari.
Yeah, Bakhtiari's
Out, out,
on pup.
out
Yep.
on pup for 6 weeks. I don't like that fact. That concerns me a little bit, but I think they can overcome that and end up 13-4 and win the NFC North again for like the 700th time.
Yeah.
Then I have Minnesota, and Green Bay is the only team in the NFC North I have above 500.
Dude, you're freaking me out. Go ahead.
I have
What do you have
Minnesota
them at?
8-9.
Okay.
Um, I could see this being 9-8. I think I could see that happen. Like they'll get like a win that like will surprise us. Like this game at Detroit. Like Minnesota could easily win that one.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. But the thing with Minnesota that concerns me is Kirk Cousins. And how many games is Kirk Cousins going to miss because he was a close contact?
Yeah, that can throw a wrench in things.
He's not getting vaccinated. And then you have Ellinger as his backup, who's a rookie. Is it Ellinger? I think
Oh
that's right.
no, I forget the dude's name, but yeah, they're high on that guy, and I don't know why, but yeah.
Kellen Mond, maybe?
Um,
I thought it was Ellinger.
yeah, I mean, here, I'll just look it up, okay?
Yeah, that's what I was doing real quick. Whoever they drafted this year, Kellen Mond,
Yeah, there you go, Kellen Mond.
who showed some promise in college, but I mean, I just don't see Minnesota having a good season this year. I didn't like what it was happening last year and how much shit Zimmer was talking about Cousins and how much shit he was talking about this and how much shit he was talking about that, instead of fucking going in and coaching the players, just talk
Yeah,
shit about them to the press.
just be accountable. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, then in third place in the division. Now, I would flip these two teams if one thing were to happen. And I'll get to that when I get to the team I have in fourth place.
Okay.
Third place in the division, I have the fucking Detroit Lions.
Oh, buddy. All right. What do you got them at?
I have them at 7-10.
Okay. Okay. I hope they get the 7 wins, but yeah, keep going.
And I could see them flipping with Chicago, who I have at 4-13, if having the record slip if Chicago and Matt Nagy wise up and fucking come out and say Justin Fields is our starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Starting Andy Dalton, I mean, you could play quarterback for the Bears probably better than Andy Dalton.
Put me in, coach.
Outside of Washington, this is probably the worst starting quarterback in the league. Washington has Fitzgerald, who I know he has, or
I like
Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick, man.
Sorry, Fitzpatrick. And I know he's streaky, but he's not. He's the relief guy. He's not the starter.
Yeah, that's true.
And Andy Dalton is shot. Look what happened with Dallas's offense last year when Dak got hurt and Andy Dalton was starting. I mean, that offense was lighting it up, and then all of a sudden they could barely get 100 yards a game.
Yeah, and I know I'm going on a tangent here with this, but when I look back at his time in Cincinnati, he actually put up some pretty respectable stats. And for him to do jack shit in Dallas with those receivers, it made me wonder, did he just like not even get ready thinking, I'm never going to touch the field. It doesn't even matter. And then as soon as Dak went down, it was like, oh shit, I'm not even close to being ready to do this. Like it seemed like he wasn't even engaged because he should have been able to come in and, I'm not saying light the world on fire, but with those weapons, he should have at least been decent. It just, it bothered me, man.
Yeah, I think it's because he's shot.
Okay.
I
It could
think
be. It could be.
that's why Cincinnati let him go, is because they realized he's not even worthwhile being our backup quarterback.
Yeah.
He's shot. He's done. I think he put up big numbers. He could never win the big game up there in
No.
Cincinnati.
No.
He could never win a primetime game. He put up big numbers, but I mean they had a lot of shitty teams on their schedule that they were playing.
Yeah. He was like in that tier below the Stafford Jay Cutler tier, like somewhere in there where it's like, you had that tier of like the Staffords and the Phillip Rivers of the world where it's like they're just too good to get rid of, but they're just never going to get it done on the team. Maybe a change of scenery and they'll do better, but never there. And Cutler was that way. And it's like Dalton's like right below
I
that where
disagree.
it's
Cutler was not good enough
no. Go
to
ahead.
change.
Put
Put
him.
Cutler down in
The,
Andy Dalton's tier.
yeah. I would maybe put him between because Cutler to me was better than Dalton. But I guess everybody's got a different opinion on it. But either way, it's like they're in that sort of zone where it's like they're good enough where it's like you could understand why a team's afraid to get rid of them because it's so hard to find even that they're like, but if we could just build a team around it, it would just work. And it's like, no, it never works that way. It never fucking works that way. So, you build the team and then you get one of those guys in there and maybe you have a chance. But the other way around, I've never seen it work, man.
Yeah, you have a team like Baltimore
Yeah,
not
Baltimore could do it because
years
they're
ago.
always stacked all across the
Oh,
roster.
the first one, what was that? 2002?
You talking about that first Ray Lewis Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That sounds around that time, yeah.
No, it was 6. 'Cause 2002 was the Patriots. Anyways, whenever it
Yeah,
was with
yeah.
with Tony Saragusa and who's the quarterback? Was it Trent Dilfer was the quarterback? Or was Vinny Testaverde one of the two?
Dude, it was such a weak quarterback. Oh man.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it was so bad that the next year, like they went out and got Elvis Gerbach, which was not that much better.
yeah, I think it was Trent Dilfer, man. He
I think it was because they
he
won
was
the Super.
so
He won
yeah.
the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, which is where he played most of his career, and he was just purely a game manager.
Yeah, I talk to people about this, and I probably talked to you about this, and it's so bad to say it, but in my opinion, he was the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl up until Peyton Manning won that Super Bowl in Denver, that last one. It was like Peyton was so fucking bad. He couldn't throw the ball, dude, and it didn't matter. The defense tore it up and just totally fucking
Uh-huh.
embarrassed Carolina. And just like it was like, wow, Peyton got lucky that the defense fucking saved his ass there. But hey, nobody other than me would probably say that. I just Dilfer was bad. Peyton Peyton had a great career, obviously Hall of Fame career. It's just that last year, man, that arm fell off the cliff fast.
It fell way off.
All right, so here, let me give you my take on the NFC North. I had Green Bay at 13-4 also, and I liked that spot. Like yeah, you can always go win here or loss there, or whatever. I like 13-4 for them. I didn't have anybody else above 500, kind of like you. That's where you were freaking me out. But I've got Minnesota and Chicago tied at 6-11 each. And I think between those two teams, Minnesota has higher potential this year. I like what they did on the defense, and I think that minus some of the Cousins or COVID stuff going on, I could see Minnesota getting to 8 wins, maybe even 9 wins. But I look at the schedule, and there's games at Arizona, at home against Seattle, at home against Cleveland, and I just look at it and I'm like, it's a tough schedule, man. It's a tough schedule for these guys. And Cousins has gotten better in some of these big games, but his record in these big games still really isn't that good over the course of his career. And so, and I'm not like saying that's all him, like it's the same with Stafford. Sometimes it's the team, it's not necessarily the quarterback. I get that. I just think, I'm going to temper my expectations. I got them both at 6-11, higher ceiling for Minnesota. Chicago, I agree with you. I think that they need to put in Fields sooner than later. I think we saw enough of his potential in preseason that to me, it's like the more time he gets as a starter, the better he's going to be. And what do you have to lose by not doing it? Because I agree with you. I don't think Dalton is going to like keep them in the playoff hunt, man. And Fields might not put them in the playoff picture anyhow for this year, unless the defense gets back into their dominant form. But at least you would be grooming the future franchise quarterback, giving him the chance to develop. Some of these guys, I get it. Like Mahomes, it worked out. He was on the bench for a while. This that. Some guys work well that way. Aaron Rodgers was that way. Some guys need to be on the field. And I think Fields has enough going on between running and passing that you should get him on the field now and see what he can do. You can scheme things where he's getting out of the pocket, doing some stuff with his legs, building his confidence, and scaling in some of the passing elements. I don't know. I think that that's the way to go with him. Bottom of the
Well,
barrel. Or go
with
ahead. Go
Chi-
ahead.
with Chicago, the one thing I was thinking about with them is possibly the reason why they're not starting Fields right away is because you're gonna have start out pretty shitty, and then you're gonna switch to Fields, and then he's gonna do better, and he's like, look, we have promise. Look, I turned it around by putting Fields in. It's like, and
Okay.
that's how he's gonna try to save his job. But it's like just fucking start him from the beginning, and you
Yeah.
probably are close to a playoff team, or you're fighting for the playoffs, especially in how shitty the NFC is compared to the AFC.
Yeah, if that's their strategy, I mean, I wouldn't keep their jobs if I was in charge. If, to me, it's like you got to find a way to make it work this year. You had the Mitch Trubisky experiment and it didn't work out. You're on a super tight leash. If you can't find a way to make it work with a veteran and a rookie and you figure out who's going to be the best to get you the playoffs, you don't deserve to have another chance. Somebody else is going to come in and be a quarterback whisperer for Fields and, go from there. But just my opinion.
Oh, I
Uh,
agree.
in last place, I got the Lions and I got them at 3-14. And listen, I'm not even going to dog them. I'm not going to get mad. with anything. It's if they do better than 3-14, I will be happy. Okay, because I realize this is year one of a massive overhaul, and I look at the schedule and I'm like, yeah, I just don't see a lot of wins. And I do like what they did. We talk about it a lot with the way that they're building from the trenches. I think they're stupid as fuck by putting Sewell at right tackle. And everything I hear every week is that it's a disaster and it's not going well. So stupid. So stupid. But I like, they got a couple of guys on the defensive line in the draft. They re-signed Aquara, and then, the idea of drafting Sewell, they just put him in the wrong spot. Uh, Building the trenches, to me, that's phase one, man. That's phase one. And so, yeah, I could see that helping them win a few more games this year. I'm just not getting my hopes up, dude. I'm keeping the bar low. If they lost more than 3 games, I'd be aggravated because 3 games is already fucking dog shit to begin with. But if they won more than three, I'd be pleased, man. Just my opinion.
Yeah, which just occurred to me. We forgot about the Lions cutting Perriman in
Oh yeah, yeah. The two
in the
million
news.
dollar guarantee and see you
Yeah,
later. Yeah.
yeah,
But
but that's
but what was it? Vegas cut John Brown and he was guaranteed, I don't know, a little bit more than 2 million or something. So they were
yeah.
saying it
I
wasn't the
think
worst one.
Cam, well, I think Cam was like guaranteed like 3 or something like that, or 5.
Yeah, but that was more of a statement cut. That was
Yeah,
Max our guy, boom. That was like with authority, Belichick saying, I don't even care about the money. This is what we're doing, you
yeah.
know? Yeah, I think the Perriman thing, Brad Holmes taking some heat for that one because I don't think anybody needed to give him that kind of guaranteed money. And so it was like, what did you see with this guy that you liked to really go after him and get him? And then for him to not make it it's a bit of a shock. But like I said, you're one of a massive rebuild. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, I know. It just occurred to me as we were talking about how shitty they are this year and the massive rebuild.
Yeah.
It occurred to me.
You know what? I will say this. I do like Goff's attitude where he's talking about things like why not us and things like that. Well, it's just not, you look at it. Teams don't, you don't go from garbage to churn in the roster like this and having a new coaching staff and just all of a sudden wake up great. I get it. San Francisco did it a couple of years ago, but they already had a lot of pieces on that roster, and it's a totally. I just can't. It's not comparable to me. I would love it if the Lions just like blew everybody's expectations out of the water. I'm not drinking a drop of Kool-Aid this year, man. I didn't do it last year. I'm definitely not doing it this year. I like their prospects for the future. I like the coaching staff, a lot of seasoned guys, smart guys. I like them building from the trenches, but I'm going to be patient.
Yeah, I think I started to drink the Kool-Aid again a little bit. Last year, fuck, I had them in the playoffs, so I don't know what I was smoking when
Well,
I did that pick. So
I was hoping you were going to be right, man. I was hoping you were going to be right because, I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than disappointed. But, yeah, I've done it myself so many times where I'm like, man, this guy looks sweet, or they must know something I don't know about fucking Jelani Tavai, and then here we are this year, and it's like, yeah, he's fucking cut because, yeah, he sucked. When all of these draft magazines have the guy rated 6th round or later, and you take him in the 2nd round, you fucked up, okay? And they had their excuse of, well, we heard rumors that the Patriots were going to go after this guy. You know what? They might go get him, and he might be just like fucking Kyle Van Noy on the Patriots. The problem is that shit doesn't work for the Lions. Draft a guy where he's slated to go and get good
hmm
value. Don't reach on a guy because you're not like some fucking ninja draft expert. Time and time again, we've seen that from the Lions, man.
exactly.
Reminds me of the fucking Alama Francis pick back in the day. He was a 2nd rounder, and it was like the same thing. Like nobody had anything higher than a 6th round grade on the guy. And, I didn't even remember. It was like Rod Marinelli. Oh, he's a gym rat, and he's got that body type, and just too good to pass, and then he did nothing, not a freaking thing, man. So
Yeah.
sorry, I'm going
See,
on a rant. Yeah,
I see a lot of that recently in Vegas. Like,
I agree. I agree.
and that concerns me with how Mayock can be so spot on in his fucking analysis on the air, but when it comes to drafting, how much is Mayock really in charge because he picks such shitty players?
It seems like he's reached on a lot of guys, similar to what we're just talking about with a couple of these picks in Detroit. I feel like whether it's him or somebody else pulling strings, like Gruden saying, "Hey, go get this guy," I think they've reached on guys that there was no reason to reach on, and now we're seeing, you know, they're dude, like we were talking about earlier, they're bringing in all sorts of veterans to replace all these guys that they drafted because they know they got to win this year, and all those young guys that they've been bringing in aren't fucking doing what they thought they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on them, dude. That's on them. I mean, here and there, yeah, you can't predict, these things, but like it's your job to get the right guys and put them into a position to succeed. And every now and then it's not going to work, but when most of the time it doesn't work, you just can't be there anymore. So I don't know. Okay, moving on because we've got week one coming up next week. And so we got to do a game pick tonight, James. And it was you that reminded me of that. I appreciate that. I've been busy, man. I didn't even think about it until you hit me up the other night. So next Thursday, first game of the year, Dallas at Tampa Bay. We got to make some picks. And so
Yeah.
would you like to go first here, James?
Oh, this one's not that hard of a pick. I mean,
It shouldn't be.
it's. I think, as we were talking earlier, you have. Well, is Dak Prescott ready to come back for Week 1? Yeah, he's ready to come back in Week 1. I don't think with Dak Prescott, the Cowboys have a chance of beating Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay next week. So why not just sit Dak Prescott for Week 1? Give him that extra week, and let the other guy, whoever his backup is, go out there and get pounded, and then start Prescott in Week 2
Yeah.
against who they play in Week 2, the Chargers. But there's no way in hell Dallas even has a shot in this game with Prescott as the starter, without Prescott as the starter. Tampa Bay's going to trounce them.
Yeah, so I know that they just brought in Will Greer. They claimed him off of waivers. He was one of the guys that got cut. But since you mentioned their backup quarterback, I will tell you, Cooper Rush, up until Will Greer was signed, was the guy. And I'm hoping he still is their QB2 because Central Michigan fire up chips. So I like Cooper Rush, man. He's got like a nice arc on the ball.
Arc.
Thank you. Uh, and he's got a good spiral and things like that. But I don't know how far he'll go in the league. Hopefully, he hangs on there as a backup for a while. I like seeing those Chippewas do something. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm going Tampa Bay all the way in this one. Both these teams, if Dak is healthy and the arm, it's all good. These are two high-powered offenses, and so that could make this game exciting. Uh, I am hopeful that Dan Quinn and Micah Parsons are going to do some good things for that Dallas defense. But for week one, Tampa Bay's defense clearly has the edge in that regard. Um, and then we just know Tom Brady's the freaking goat on offense. And so, there's no indication his arm's fallen off the cliff yet. It could happen at some point in the season, just like Peyton Manning's did that one year. But yeah, I'm Tampa Bay all the way on this one.
Yeah, it's not hard at all.
It'd be, dude, it'd be pretty wild if Dallas upset them, man. Oh, I mean, it's any given Sunday. I know it's a Thursday night game. Uh, I would be like right off the bat, like what the fuck just happened? But hey, Tampa Bay until that happens. Okay, so that's all we're doing for tonight. Next week, we'll get the rest of the week one picks in, which is good because I'm way freaking behind on putting my model together for this year. But that's okay. Let's kick it over to our question of the week, James. And so I want to circle
Yes.
back and talk about Cam Newton for a minute. We know he was released by the Patriots, and I might be a little bit drastic with this, but I just want to ask you, do you think this is the end of the road for him, or does he sign on somewhere in some capacity in 2021? And if he does sign somewhere, what team do you think it will be and why? And I've got some notes, but you sat forward. Looks like you're chomping at the bit here, so I'll let you jump in, and then I'll kind of put my 2 cents in there after.
So, well, Cam Newton was shot 2 years ago, and he should be like at best he should be a backup quarterback. Is Cam Newton going to be a backup quarterback? No, he's not going to be a backup quarterback in the league. There's two teams that, let's call it three teams, that there's two teams that could sign him as a backup quarterback out there, which would be Dallas, and McCarthy already said he's not interested, and Baltimore. And at Baltimore, you don't want your backup quarterback to be the same situation as your starting quarterback being not vaccinated. We've already figured out that Cam's not vaccinated based on protocols he had to go through. I think if he was vaccinated, he might catch on somewhere, but because he's not going to. The third team that I thought he could catch on at, and it would possibly be in a starting role, is Houston. But the more I sat down and thought about it, their starting quarterback is going to be Tyrod Taylor this year.
Yeah.
And I was getting confused on that because for some reason I confused in my head Taylor and Bridgewater.
Okay.
But so Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting quarterback there, and what you have to look at if you're Houston is Tyrod Taylor a better starting quarterback than Cam Newton would be, and the evidence suggests yes. So therefore, I think this is the end of the road for Cam.
Okay.
I think it should have been the end of the road about 2 years ago for Cam, but this is the final nail in his coffin. Like, if he had to have a great year in New England for him to catch on somewhere else next year.
I gotcha. Well, I like your take on that, especially the COVID part of that being a factor. And you were right on with the teams that I was looking at as well. And so I had Dallas on there just because it was already mentioned by a guy on NFL.com, which now is out the window with McCarthy's comments. I had Baltimore as, in my opinion, the best landing spot in terms of they have a high-end starting quarterback that would not be threatened in any way by Cam being the backup, and they're both running quarterbacks, so it fits the scheme very well. It would kind of remind me of the RG3 backup situation that Baltimore had before, and so that's where I thought, okay, that could work there. But I think that no matter where he goes, if he goes somewhere, he either has to be the clear-cut number one, or he's got to be the backup on a team that has like an elite level quarterback, because he's too noisy of a guy to be a backup unless
Mm-hmm.
your guy is rock solid with no threat. Otherwise, like if he went to Houston, the fan base would be immediately saying, he's got to start, or if he went to a team like Indy, Wentz falters at the slightest bit, the fan base is going to go crazy. You got to start Cam. And it would just be stupid for him to go to Indy. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
But then in Houston, it's like, it looks like they're committed to Tyrod Taylor. And I'm hearing a lot about them being hopeful to see what Davis Mills can do over the course of the year as he develops. And so I don't think that they want to touch Cam Newton with a 10-foot pole, because they're not expected to be relevant this year anyhow. And so, Yeah, I don't really see a spot for him. I really don't, man. I mean, I kind of thought, like, in a wild scenario, could he go to a team like Buffalo or even a team like San Francisco if they found a trade partner for Jimmy G? Because then it's like, okay, there's some of those mobile aspects that could fit kind of behind Josh Allen, or maybe some of that could fit behind Trey Lance if he officially became the starter. I don't like either of those, man. And I'm just not seeing anywhere else, man. So I think unless the wheels fell off with the team and they were like, we got to get this guy, I just don't see it.
Exactly.
Well, we are on the same page with that shit. Okay, so for anybody who's still watching, similar to Name That Stadium, we'd love to get your input on our question of the week. Tell us what you think about Cam Newton. Somebody going to pick him up, or is this it? You know, it happens that fast in the NFL, man. It really does. Okay, so James, that's all I got for tonight, man. You got any closing thoughts?
No, that's all I got for tonight as well.
Okie dokie. Well, this concludes our four-part series here. Next week, we're going to do our week one power rankings and game picks. So we'll be back in the swing of things just like we did all last year. And I'm excited, man, that we had a lot of fun doing this last year. We are going to have to think about a bet, though, because that spiced things up for us last year. So we got time, though. We got some time to
Yeah,
figure that out,
that's some fun.
James. Okay, so yeah, anybody who's watching, we hope you like the show. We appreciate the support. Hit us up with some comments, give us that thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please, please, please hit the subscribe button. James, like always, man, it was a good time. I hope you have a good night, dude.
All right, you too.
See ya.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.